Hey guys, it's Carly here for Ellen Hudson, and today I wanted to share with you my tips for making an Easter-themed garland with some Essentials by Ellen. Starting with the Essentials by Ellen So Cute Bunny die set. This is a really great die set because the bunny die and the stitching holes die are separate, which just means you can do so many things with it. But when you're using them together, they nestle together pretty easily, and I've just done that and run it through my die cut machine no problem and not had it get off center. But if you're feeling like you want a little extra security, you can use some low-tack tape. Just make sure that it stays on the outside of the felt so that it's not going to be on the felt bunny that you're going to be stitching later, because even the lowest tack tape can really pull your felt up and kind of mess it up. Now the first thing I'm doing is a little bit of decorating with some little flowers and little leaves that I'm just stitching on super simply. If you're looking for more in-depth stitching ideas, Ellen Hudson has a great guide that I will link to in the video description and in the coordinating blog post. I'm just keeping it simple here. And I'm even going to go so far as to cheat a little bit, and instead of knotting my thread on the back side of my bunny, I'm actually just going to tack it down with a little bit of tape. I have found when making these little plushies that that's easier for me than having knots that might kind of make my bunnies, or whatever the shape is, kind of lumpy later. Or if you're looking to do less stitching, you can also use a little bit of glue. Here I've done that little stitch in the middle, but I'm also adding a little bit of glue on the petals just to help them stay stuck down. Next, I want to make a little pom-pom for my bunny's tail. So I'm just going to wrap the embroidery floss around 2 fingers until I think I've got enough. And then I'm going to secure it with another piece of embroidery floss around the middle. Another and probably better way to have made this mini pom-pom would have been to run to the kitchen and grab a fork and then wrap it around the fork. Because you can see here I'm struggling a little bit to get that piece of thread around the middle of my fingers to tie it in there, but I was being lazy and so I used my fingers. So after starting the tie, I slip it off my fingers, finish tying it, kind of wrap it around a few times, tie it again, double knot, make sure it's secure in the middle there, and then just grab my scissors and start cutting those loops apart, and then kind of squishing it around and trimming it until I've got a fluffy little ball of embroidery floss that I want for my tail. Now, if you used yarn to make this pom-pom, it would be even fluffier, but embroidery floss works too. It was what I had on hand, and after giving it quite a good haircut, then I was ready to secure it to my little bunny. So I came up from the bottom and went back down, making sure to catch the tied middle of the pom-pom so that it would really hold it in place. After I was happy with the tail, I moved on to the eye, and I absolutely could stitch the eye on, but I wanted to be honest with myself about my stitching skills, and they are still work in progress, and I thought that might be frustrating. So I decided to do the little bit easier way and make a felt eye. Now I grabbed a little piece of double-sided tape and put it on to a little piece of white felt. Then I grabbed the circle dies from the set and ran it through my die cut machine to make a little felt sticker. So if I'd use black felt, I'd be done, right? I'd just be putting it on my bunny. But since I didn't have any handy, I used white, and now I need to color it. So I've got it onto a piece of low-tack tape on an acrylic block, and I'm using a Sharpie to color it in. Copic markers also work great for coloring small pieces of felt like this. My Sharpie was just handy. After letting it dry for a few minutes, I can pull the back off of that little felt sticker that I made and just place the eye onto my little bunny's head. Next, I want to give my bunny a little rosy cheek, so I grabbed a colored pencil that was handy on my desk to give him a little blush, but this would be another great time the alcohol ink markers would work really well. Okay, and now it's time to assemble. So I've got one plain bunny, one decorated bunny. I'm going to bring my thread in from what's going to be the inside and secure it with another piece of double-sided tape. Now to put the bunnies together, I'm going to be using a blanket stitch, and I definitely do not consider myself an expert. In fact, I consider myself quite a beginner, but I will try to explain to you how I'm doing this blanket stitch. So you're going to come up from the back. All your stitches are going to come from the back. You're going to come through and pull it gently until you still have a loop at the bottom, and then you're going to go put your needle through that loop before you start the next stitch, if that makes sense. Hopefully by watching my fingers, you'll kind of understand what I'm saying. So I'm coming in through the back, I'm pulling gently. I like to try to catch the loop on my left finger so that it doesn't go all the way tight, and then I can stick my needle back through that loop, continue to pull it tight. And I have found when working with the felt, even when I'm pulling it quote unquote tight, I want to still be pretty gentle because it's pretty easy to tear your holes, your stitching holes that you've made in that felt. And so you want to be as gentle as possible. So come in through the back, catch that loop on your finger, put your needle through, and keep going. Now I promise you don't have to watch this whole little bunny get stitched together, but just a few more stitches, so hopefully you can see what I'm saying and it makes sense, because I know I'm probably not doing a great job describing it. Now another thing I would strongly suggest is to fill as you go. So I've got some fiber fill that I'm just going to kind of make into small little pieces and stick into my little legs, my little ears, all those little hard to reach crevices, and then I can continue to stitch that area closed. Continuing with the stitching and filling and stitching, I have made it to the front leg, and I'm just going to keep on going with more filling, more stitching until I finish the bunny. And here you can see after I finished one bunny, I did another one, and then another one, and then a few eggs too, using the Essentials by Ellen Essential Eggs and Essential Eggs for stitching. And then I just threaded them all onto a piece of light green embroidery floss to make a really simple Easter themed garland. And trust me, if I can do this, you guys can too. So I hope you are inspired to try something fun with the Essentials by Ellen stitching dies. I hope to see you again here soon. And if you're looking for more information, check out the YouTube description and the coordinating blog post. Thanks again, guys, and happy crafting!